Rahma, not a real name, looks at a 10-month baby with all pride and admiration. The motherly joy and pride, however, can suddenly turn into heartache and regret because Rahma was never prepared to become a mother. The little girl she loves so much was conceived through defilement. Last year, the course of Rahma's life changed forever. She narrates how a man approached her and struck a conversation as she headed to school in the morning.
Huyu kijana ndo amenikujia. Akaniambia, saa hii ni 6:50. Naona umechelewa, twende nikubebe mimi. Nimesema sikufuati. Ametoka huko kwa tuktuk, amefanya hivi. Alafu mimi nimepiga sauti haisikiki. Amefanya hivi. Alafu ametoa kwa hapa sindano, amenidunga hapa. Mimi nimeanguka chini.
It is when she woke up after the effects of the drug had worn off, abandoned and alone, that she discovered the violation of her body.
Nimeamuka, nimeona kama sina suruali. Nimeshangaa, nimepiga sauti. Watu wanaendesha gari ndio wamenikujia kwangu. Wamenichukua, wameniambia, "Sasa unajua kwako?" Na mimi sijui hata kidogo nilikuwa nalala. Kama hivi wamenipeleka nyumbani.
The family went to a local police station and reported the matter. The suspect was apprehended and arraigned in court. Rahma was then taken to hospital to receive medical care. 1 month after the traumatic incident, Rahma found out that she was pregnant. This news really shocked her, and she was very worried about her studies, which would be disrupted despite her determination not to quit school. While the matter was underway in court, the family of the perpetrator continuously pressured Rahma's family to solve the case through traditional courts known as maslaha.
Tumekuja, tumepelekwa kotini. Alafu yeye kijana kila kitu amesema, ni mimi nimemdunga msichana sindano. Yeye wazee wake ndio wamekuja na mimi mzee wangu wamekaa. Hata dada yangu alikuwa amesema, wacha msifunge kijana, wacha msichana zae, akizaa huyu kijana olewe huyu msichana.
Rahma's family went ahead to withdraw the case from court. As compensation, a paltry 60,000 shillings was raised by the accused family.
Anachukua ile dati, anapatia ile dati ingine. Pesa bana zaidisha. Bana furahia. Bana furahia. Anajungu tu. Analia.
In the agreement, Rahma was being forced to marry the abuser in order to protect the family's honor and reputation.
Alafu mama yangu amesema, kabla watu waniambie mimi msichana yake amezaa mtoto bila baba, wacha hiyo maslaha ni mzuri. Wacha huyo msichana zae aolewe.
While not physically or emotionally ready to give birth, Rahma dropped out of school.
Ile watu yote wanakusema sitaki shule mtoto anakaa nyumbani.
Kuna mama ameniambia jirani, toa huyu mtoto, endelea masomo yako. Alafu mimi nimesema saa hii nikitoa huyu mtoto ni dhambi, siwezi toa.
Due to stigma, she relocated to a place where she felt safe. She lived quietly, but with a lot of bitterness. Her aggressor had maintained contact with the family throughout her pregnancy. She gave birth in December 2024.
Baba ya kijana ndo ametupigia tukiwa hospitali. Msichana amezaa, ametuma 6K. Amesema hiyo 6K mnunulie msichana nguo maziwa sawa. Mimi nimetoka huko 2025 January. Nimekuja hapa.
Ile watoto kijana ya mama anakataa. Sitaki ile ya kuelea ile watoto.
Rahma's family felt deceived. Devastated and furious, they reported the matter to the police.
Police station amefunga mama yake na kijana. Wameweka station ndani. Wametuambia hatukatai. Amesema kesho tutakuja nyumbani tuchukue huyu msichana na msichana mkubwa. Sawa. Tumefuta ile kesi. Tumeenda nyumbani. Asubuhi ikifika kijana amebadilisha lane. Mama pia amebadilisha lane. Aweshiki. Hata tumempigia simu ya jirani. Haifanyi, hapatikani. Ndio wamehama. Hatujui hata mahali wameenda. So sisi tumeacha tu kwa Mungu. Nilikuwa nataka nizae, alafu vile huyu apate baba na mimi nikae kwangu.
The police mounted a manhunt for the family, but to date, they remain on the run. The incident has left her traumatized.
Mama yangu na baba yangu pia wako na stress. Kila usiku analia. Mimi mwenyewe analia, maisha yangu imeharibika. Siwezi enda shule, siwezi toka. Nikienda shule, wataniambia ako na mtoto bila baba.
Rahma confesses that she tears down every day as she sees her age mates going to school, as she struggles to raise a child.
Best friend yangu yote hata simuongeleshi. Mimi nimebadilisha simu, SIM card, kila kitu. Sasa mama yangu stress yake zote ni mimi na msichana. Sasa huyu msichana hata mara anapata maziwa, mara hapati. Shida ni hiyo.
Iko watoto, daka msiwa, daka ile bambas. Yote ni wewe, ni hiyo tu.
2026 niende nisome form 4, nifanye exam, niende university. Na huyu msichana akae kwa mama yangu.
Rahma is not alone. Her story mirrors the ordeal of countless survivors of sexual and gender-based violence in Northeastern. Aisha, not her real name, stares into space and appears to be in deep thought. She has had to endure a lot at a tender age. Her world turned upside down last year after she was gang defiled. She suddenly changed from a bubbly to a reserved girl. She now carries the weight of a lifelong scar. Her mother feels her eyes sting with tears as she narrates the harrowing ordeal her 16-year-old daughter went through.
Wanaume wawili tena wakubwa kubwa, mmoja alikuwa 30 something, mmoja alikuwa 28 years. Sasa vile alifanyia msichana yangu hajahurumia kimama, hajahurumia kisista, wamefanyia mbaya.
After the ordeal, the assailants dumped her in a nearby bush and fled.
Watu alipata msichana yangu barabara, alikuwa anatawa damu. Msichana walibebwa, walipelekwa hospitali. Msichana amesema namba yangu. Sasa mimi nikaenda hivyo hospitali.
Aisha was admitted in hospital after sustaining abdominal injuries.
Msichana alikuwa anakaa hospitali 5 days. Mimi nilikuwa hapo. Msichana yangu hana baba, hana kijana brother yake kubwa yeye. Nilikuwa mimi nimekimbia.
The family wanted to pursue legal action and reported the incident at a police station, hoping for justice.
Nimeenda kuripoti, nikasema hawa wawili hata mimi ninajua na kiuzo, nikaomba kufuata askari wa OCS afunge hawa, iende kotini, iende prison. Wakati hiyo nilikuwa nafurahi sana ikifungwa hata maisha yao.
Authorities went ahead to arrest the two men in connection to the heinous act.
Familia hiyo wanaume wamekuja kwetu, wameleta hiyo pressure ya maslaha. Wazee wameniambia ikikimbia hakuna faida wewe unapata.
Aisha's mother claims she was reluctant but faced intimidation.
Hawa jamaa wazee yao na wazee yangu waliingia. Sasa walikuwa wamemaliza kikabila. Wasema tumalize kichini. Mimi mwenyewe nimekubali sababu hakuna option nyingine. Mimi naweza fanya. Sina mzee ya kusimamia, mimi sijafuraha. Sasa mimi nilikuwa nasikia uchungu mpaka sasa hivi. Imenipandisha pressure sana. Sasa hata kama nikikataa hakuna mahali mimi naweza enda.
During the meeting, Aisha's mother was never involved. She didn't know what transpired. All she heard was that over 300,000 shillings was raised by the families of the culprits.
Sasa hiyo 300,000 hata ikusaidii. Wazee wanachukua, banda yako inakuja tu kitu kidogo. Hawa wazee mimi wamenipatia 200,000.
While the culprits enjoy freedom, Aisha continues to suffer in silence. What pains the family more is encountering the men behind the beastly act on a regular basis.
Watu wanajuana sana. Mimi nikitoka saa hii hapa naona barabara. Mimi nasikia uchungu. Msichana yangu pia nasikia uchungu.
The distraught mother says her daughter is severely affected psychologically.
Wale wajirani wote karibu nyumba 10 wanajua. Msichana kuna stress sababu hata wameshinda kwenda shule. karibu kutoroka shule. Usiku hata ikilala hivi sijui mimi sijui nakumbuka nini, wanastuka hivi wanakaa. Mpaka sasa hivi msichana yangu wanafaa na mask ama ninja, kutoka nje hata ni shida. Na si peke yake, yuko wale wengine kuliko yeye walikuwa wamefanyia hivyo.
Due to stress, Aisha's mother developed hypertension and is also diabetic.
Nilikuwa nataka nikimaliza msichana wangu form 4 nihame. Nilikuwa nataka niishi mahali anijui watu, sababu nikikaa hapa watu yote wananijua na wanaongea sana. Sababu nikikaa hapa hata msichana wangu hawezi pata pana, at least tumalize stress pole pole.
Defiled, heartbroken, betrayed and totally distraught is the story of this 15-year-old girl whom we will call Halima to protect her identity. Just a few months ago, she was rescued after someone she knew, someone she trusted, destroyed her childhood and took away her innocence.
A man who's a relative forced himself on her, who's older than her. And because of the age gap, she feared somebody completely finishing what he had and says, "You dare mention my name. You're a dead meat."
After 3 months, she was gaining weight and experiencing morning sickness, telltale signs of pregnancy. That's when she narrated her ordeal, but the family decided that reporting the perpetrator to the police was unnecessary and would ruin the family's reputation. She lived with the perpetrator in the same compound, and he kept bullying her. Unwilling to tolerate the torment any longer, she gathered courage and ran away from home.
The moment she came, she almost collapsed because she didn't feed. She was sleeping in the bush under a tree, and I told her, "They're wild animals. This lion, the hyena, you don't fear." She said, "It's better they could have eaten me. There's no life for me here. You have to call the children department and then call for her relative until she has to be rescued. And her life is in danger because she can't go back to her family. Because once she goes back automatically, he said she will be slaughtered like a goat." That's the word he said.
She was rescued and taken to hospital. At the moment, she's staying with a good Samaritan who does not want to be identified. Carrying the pregnancy has been a difficult experience. Her body and mind are not prepared for the rigors of childbirth.
She's also malnourished. I don't know, she fears, she's like, what if these fetus grow big and delivery becomes an issue? That's her worry. So what does she do? She does not feed. She's not taking any food, even if you give her. So what does she need? She needs counselors, she needs friends, she needs a socializing with others, which I think will take time.
She's 8 months pregnant, and due to stigma, she's not willing to raise a child born as a result of incest.
She's silent, completely silent. She's not talking, she's withdrawn. Even I don't know her relative, I don't know who she's related to. We want her to give birth safely, God willing. We just pray for that. And I think with the help of God and through the Department of Children, the child can be adopted.
20,000 shillings is what was paid to the parents of Faria, not a real name, after she was defiled. The money was part of a deal negotiated by elders so that the family can withdraw the case from court. She was only 14 when she was defiled and impregnated in 2019. 6 years later, the attack still torments her. The assault left her with physical and emotional wounds that she carries to date. Faria's mother claims that after reporting the matter to police, the suspect was arrested but was later released on bond after his family bailed him out.
odayaal ay imaadeen odayaasha lacag 40 kun ay gabadha u keeneen sida maslaxa lagu dhameeyay wiilkii waa la soo sii daayay uu iska carar.
With fury, Faria's mother went back to court. The case was revived, but the perpetrator did the unthinkable.
ma wala arkay ninka uu carar meelaas iyo Soomaaliya iska galay ninka aan lagu hayo ma wala haduu imaado ilaahay ugu keeno haduu imaado in la soo qabto waan rab hadii la arko هو شرع اللي تكسده وحق جوريد اللي يقصر جروان ربا هذو ما دولتنا أساسا ما حاجة عربة رودنا أساس إيه سعيد.
Faria dropped out of school after noting she was pregnant. After a traumatic and almost fatal delivery, she eventually gave birth. Although she cares for her baby, she still struggles with the trauma of the incident and she has never found justice. But she remains determined to provide her son with as much love and guidance as possible.
بولاد aan degan yaho waxaa la dhahaa islaamtii hataa caanaha dhex fadha waxaa la dhahaa aniga wacel maandal anaa laygu duro marka bilcaanta hadda aan la sheekaysanayo markaa isdagaalno waxaa la dhahaa adama gabadhaa wacal dhashay maxaad ka hadli aligu cayna.
She has also been ostracized for raising a child born out of wedlock.
markasta la caawiyo la tahala waa la wax kasta hadal kasta daan aaba ma qabtid sina babaake.
Stigma makes survival a constant struggle for Faria and her family. They've had to change houses endless times. In the vast northeastern region, maslaha is woven into the very fabric of daily life, rooted in centuries-old traditions of negotiation and mediation. The alternative dispute resolution system is used to solve matters at the local level without necessarily going to court for judicial process. Male elders act as mediators and use traditional means to solve the problems set before them.
Maslah is an Arabic word. It means reconciliation. You reconcile people when there is a problem. Maslah is meant for small injuries, debt, family reconciliation, and something like that.
Maslaha system hiyo ni kitu ambaye inapata uwezo na nguvu wa usalama. Hata sheria yetu ya Kenya inakubalia wazee wafanye kazi ya hiyo usalama, washirikie pamoja na serikali kuu.
It is good in one way, but not in all ways. Masla is deeply rooted in our culture, in our community. It's like when you defy masla, it's like you are not part of that community. Hata unaambiwa ule amekata maneno ya wazee, wewe mambo yako itakuwa mbaya. In case anything happens to you tomorrow, you have nowhere to go. Sasa people fear of tomorrow. What will happen to me tomorrow? Kijana fulani amefanya defilement, nimekata masla. What if my boy or my son will defile a girl tomorrow? Where will I go? You see, that is now the assumption of the community.
Maslaha emphasizes compensation, not punishment.
Sometimes we have even gone to reconcile communities after one of them was murdered, so that the community can stay together peacefully. And then the community who have lost family is given compensation, right? And then that man is forgiven.
While the traditional alternative system holds immense cultural significance in the community, its practice is not without its limits and challenges. Many locals believe that all issues should be handled the cultural way, including sexual and gender-based violence cases. This parallel system bypasses national laws that classify sexual violence as a serious criminal offense, punishable by imprisonment. As per the Sexual Offences Act, defiling a child of 11 years and below attracts life imprisonment. A person found guilty of defiling a child aged between 12 to 15 years risks imprisonment of not less than 20 years. If the child is aged 16 to 18 years, the perpetrator is sentenced to a term not less than 15 years. A section of elders, however, believe that the community's conflict resolution system is being misused.
Rape, defiling, of all the things, there is no maslah. That does not include maslah. But because of how the world is, some people have now turned it upside down to make monetary gain. Defilement of a 12-year-old girl who is going to be traumatized throughout her life. God forgive, who is that Muslim to say, I want maslah. Hiyo ni dini gani? And they will ask God to punish such elders who, you know, misdirect justice. Are we together? So sometimes there might be 1 or 2 cases or 3 cases. This province is vast. People might be very far away from police, right? And the people might take advantage out of the disadvantages that are prevailing.
Mambo ya kufanya dhuluma ya wanawake iko mengi sana hapa, na wachache ndio wanapitishwa haki ifike mahali pake kwa mahakama. Msichana akifanywa rape, sasa wazee wengine wanaketi huko, wacha tutafute maslaha, tufanye maslaha, tupatie hiyo msichana familia hiyo pesa 300 400. Saa zingine siku hizi hata yule amepeleka kubaka kotini mahakama, bado watu wanafuatilia wenyewe huyo kijana, anajaribu njia yoyote ya kuokoa hiyo kijana. Para haya, unaona kijana amefunga wakati muda kidogo, ama inasemekana hii kesi hakuna ushahidi kamili.
And they want to continue with that. They will ask you, instead of, putting my daughter on the stand to justify, why don't you settle, simply within 2-3 sittings is done. But this process of the court will take time, even 1 year, or sometimes it goes to 5 years. Why do we have to do that? The other thing, they said enmity. But for me, always I realized maslah is favoring the masculine person. A very strong person is favored because the decision makers are male, the accused is male.
Under this system, elders, families of the perpetrators and survivors reach out of court settlements.
So we have a clique of elders and who try to sort out those cases under the tree. They don't even care to call and the lady or the person and the victim so that they can see the impact of the problem she underwent.
Even other women, the community members, women are not part of that. That is completely 100% men who will sit and the perpetrator is not even seated in that meeting. He doesn't even feel any pain, any pinch. You see, he's not taken to court. He's not arrested and fined. He's not arraigned before the court. Hajafungwa mwaka kadhaa.
Sasa kikao hiyo wanatafuta maslaha ya usalama ya huyu kijana. Siku hizi hata inakuwa kanuni ya jamii fulani juzi walifanya namna hii mshahara wao na kijana wao na walilipa 300,000. Leo kwa nini hatuwezi fanya namna hiyo? Badala ya kwenda mahakama. Naona hapo inazimu hapo. Sasa kweli msichana imesadika.
They talk, maybe depending on the weight of the case, they now fine the perpetrator.
Additionally, it involves components of monetary compensation, which directly benefits the aggrieved parties and offers a form of consolation.
If he is fined maybe, like 50 heads of camel or goats or cattle, or if it's money, like 500,000, 300. Now when this money is paid, it is the clan that do the contribution.
For my little knowledge, that explains that you are celebrating this man, what he did. Because if you are not celebrating, why are you supporting him?
Then there was those wazis who are sitting under the tree, both from the both sides, will first share the money. And then the little that is left, maybe something small, maybe is given to the father. And then the smallest, very minute, is given to their mother. Remember, could be this girl is defiled. She has not been, taken to hospital for any medical, examination or medical treatment. She didn't gain.
This is becoming again an income for elders because the elders who are not sit, they talk, and at the end of the day, they have to pocket something. And they know where the deal is too good, especially gender-based violences, especially defilement.
Hiyo pesa wazee hata wanapata chai yao. Kuna wengine ambaye kazi yao wanangoja tu mambo hiyo itendeke, na inajulikana, sio wote. Sasa mambo imebadilika, utakuta kijana hii imefanya rape na hii kijana wanaume vile. Hiyo sasa kwa dini yetu hakuna ndani, ni baya kabisa kupita kiasi. Hata juzi nilikuwa mimi niliitwa kijana imefanya rape namna hii na tunataka kuingia kesi wazee. Mimi naambia sitaingia mimi. Na hata hiyo ya kijana na msichana hapana. Lazima iende huko mahakama. Haki itokee huko. Kama unataka kufanya magendo ya kufuatilia shauri yako mzee.
The practice undermines the formal justice system. Women rights advocates and GBV stakeholders claim protecting a perpetrator is enabling them and threatening the future of many more girls. They don't stop, they just change their victims.
Pana. Hiyo hapo kuna haki inatendeka. Kwa sababu unapunja heshima ya hiyo msichana na unaharibu maisha yake. Na huyu kijana ambaye amefanya hiyo, sasa naona kama yeye hana shida yote, hana uoga yote.
This scenario increases now the rate of what? The rate of, sexual violence in Wajir. Ime increase kwa sababu perpetrator anajua family wako wapi? His family is behind him. Anajua family will bear the burden now. So tena atarudia, atafanya ngine. Mwingine pia from the other day, kijana fulani si amefanya na ameachilia family wamesimamia. Another will do it, another will do it.
There was a very notorious defiler in Masalani sub-county. He defiled several times, and all cases were solved at Masla. The last time he defiled a girl who was, praying. He defiled a small girl. So what we did, we went to rescue the girl and make sure the perpetrator was arrested and taken to court. And we said whoever will try to solve this case at Masala, he will also go in. So he was convicted to 30 years. So that was a very plus, was a very good for us. Because now, and the cases of sexual offenses has reduced in that area.
On the issue of gender-based violences, Masala is actually the biggest barrier to justice for women and girls.
According to the Department of Gender in Wajir County, between January and September 2025, 111 cases of sexual and gender-based violence were recorded in the region. This include 40 cases of rape, 44 cases of defilement, 14 sodomy cases, while 13 cases of intimate partner violence were reported.
Sodomy and incest was never with us, but now recently it's become an order of the day, and women don't want to talk about it. They will tell you it's a very shameful for my brother-in-law and my brother to be taken to court for a sodomy. But I said, so what? Somebody's offended. There's a grieving person here. How will he get justice? They said incest and sodomy cannot be discussed openly.
We have seen, yes, cases where a child was defiled, but we are telling the family or the mother to bring out the girl so that we can take her to police, she can write statement and we can look for the perpetrator. But they are refusing to come. They're trying to hide the girl so that they can hide the shame. They have that notion that my girl will never be married again if people hear that. But I think that has been passed by time.
Na kuna tena kitu ingine inatusumbua zaidi. Kuna drugs. Ile mambo iko hapa ndani. Kuna mzuri na mbaya yote. Vijana badala ya kuchukua hii kuendelea hii nzuri wanachukua ile mbaya. Fikira, akili, mambo yote inaanza kubadilika kutoka hapa mahali mbaya.
There is this interference of masla. I think that is the major challenges we're facing, because that I'm saying in the first place the case is being reported and all of a sudden the victim themselves and even the witnesses disappeared. And that is what makes even some of the cases not to be successful at the end, from the beginning up to the end. But there are many cases which are unreported cases. So we get some challenges on issues of handling GBV because at times the societies there is what we call late reporting cases, because at times even the victims or fear to report. So as we move on, I'm sure we'll ensure that we can enlighten the community and give them, ensure that is the best way for them, so that they can be able to report in case of any such cases.
The sub-counties, we don't have a gender desk. Only Wajir East, which is the headquarters, only gender desk. Again, there is a language barrier. Most of the officers are not Somali speaking. Victims can be survivors in the rurals who don't know how to speak Swahili or English. Translation can be sometimes distorting, and that also leads some cases are lost.
80% of the chiefs are part and parcel of this maslaha and part and parcel of this problem. They are challenging themselves because kitu kitendeka, they don't report. Activists, they are given names. Women always. Why do you talk about it? The other issue is culture.
In Garissa County between January and October 2025, the police gender desk recorded 29 cases of sexual and gender-based violence. They include 19 defilement cases, 1 gang defilement, 4 rape cases, 1 attempted rape, and 3 cases of sodomy among children below 10 years. In 2024, the gender desk at Garissa Police Station recorded 37 cases of sexual offences. Defilement cases were the highest with a record of 19. Further, it was also evident that during school closure, the cases of SGBV spiked, as witnessed in the month of April and August.
So we have mostly 8 to 10 cases reported per day at the Garissa Gender Recovery Hospital, where out of those 10, 2 or 3 come to police. The rest, disappear in between. Some of them, they go and seek maslaha, which is totally disturbing us. And perpetrators committing these offenses are mostly well-known people and people with high responsibility. You will see even some of them are teachers, school teachers and madrasa teachers, duksi teachers. The small challenge we have been facing is with the police. They take time to go and arrest, or they dilly-dally. That now is open window for maslaha, for negotiations.
There are approximately 40 cases of sexual offences pending at Garissa law courts. This year, between January and September, 28 cases of SGBV were registered at the court. 3 cases had been withdrawn under Section 40 and 82A of the Sexual Offences Act. In 2023, 14 cases were withdrawn for lack of witnesses. The court also recorded tremendous cases where 8 people were convicted. In 2024, a total of 13 cases were withdrawn by prosecution for lack of witnesses, while 4 perpetrators of sexual violence were convicted.
Our courts are really working and the way expected, because we have perpetrators who up to now they have been denied and bond and still are in custody. And we have a landmark case, a teacher who has been sentenced to 35 years, and we have another teacher who has been sentenced to 30 years. Madrasa teacher.
Data from Wajir law courts shows that in 2023, 6 cases were withdrawn for lack of witnesses. Of these, there were defilement, 1 rape case and 2 attempted rape cases. In 2024, a total of 10 cases were withdrawn by prosecution for lack of witnesses. This comprised 5 cases of defilement and similar number of rape cases. This year, between January and September, 5 cases had been withdrawn. They comprised defilement, rape and attempted rape. In 2022, the court convicted 7 perpetrators of sexual violence, while in 2023, the court registered 5 convictions. Xavier Baraka, resident magistrate at Wajir Law Courts, acknowledges that serving justice to SGBV survivors has been an uphill task. He notes that the judiciary faces numerous challenges in handling such cases.
This influence, of course, in one way or the other, and you have seen the statistics, it has really affected some of the cases. Back then, it was so great. The influence was huge, and you could tell that something is not happening here. These cases are not progressing. So many cases are being withdrawn. Now, one of the main problems we face is that they take away our witnesses in one way or another, compromising the victim, compromising the witnesses so that they don't show up in court. And when the witnesses don't show up in court, then what that means is that the case cannot proceed.
Accused keep on attending the court for 1 year with no victim cannot be traced. Summons are issued, the victim cannot be availed. So you fight the victim sometimes, they cross over to the other side of the country. Now where will you get them? You can't. It becomes a challenge.
The court, he says, has devised a way of ensuring justice for victims.
We ensure that the victims are accommodated in one way or the other, and we expedite the trial system so that we conclude the system. The justice system works as fast as possible so that at the end of the day, before any influence comes in, we will have completed the case and, of course, rendered the verdict. I would say the success story is to see the curve changing. My senior, Roslyn Aganyo, and I have tried our best. For 2024, for my record, I would say I have 10 convictions, 1 acquittal, and 2 withdrawals. And where there are cases of assault against a woman, a husband battering the wife, and of course those cases come to court. And we would weigh and see what is the best way forward. It is not always right to sentence such a person. So we find a middle ground to ensure that the victim is protected and justice is served at the end of the day.
Behind his modest demeanor, Stephen Wanyoike is a determined advocate for survivors of rape and defilement. For the past 15 years, he has dedicated much of his life to Wajir County, providing free legal aid to individuals affected by sexual and gender-based violence.
By the time I was coming here, there were no legal services. Previously, advocates used to come from Nairobi physically to Wajir, and there was no virtual ring. So there was a gap.
Many survivors, particularly those in rural areas with low literacy levels, are often unaware of their rights or the avenues available for seeking help.
So we came in for those who do not have a voice. And we started fighting for that. At least they could be heard. The young children and the women are not financially able. I can say that I used to handle pro bono services free without any payment at all. Gender-based violence, children defilement cases, and those are the ones which I'm handling. I was being compelled out of passion to ensure that this child get justice.
It bothers me so much to see a person who comes to court and they don't even know that they have been offended. They don't even know that they have been defiled and defilement is wrong. They are just here because the police brought them here. So the success rate would be that we look at them and assist them see the light and assist the society also see the light that we need to serve justice.
Wanyoike has handled more than 50 cases, with 80% attracting convictions. The Constitution recognizes alternative dispute resolution ADR mechanisms for several reasons, including their efficiency and their potential to significantly ease congestion in the courts.
We understand that Masla is part and parcel of what the society does. They have been doing this for a very long time, okay? Now, we want them to continue doing it, but professionalize. Remember, everything cannot be accommodated. And in this case, SGBV cases, including sexual offenses, you can't touch that. You can't allow maslaha. The law is now clear that you stick to what the law has provided. If it is 20 years, sentence them to 20 years.
Survivors of sexual violence in Wajir find refuge at the recovery center, where they receive emergency clinical care, counseling, crucial linkages to the police and legal aid.
From the month of January to the current date, we have in Wajir County Referral Hospital alone, there are 38 cases that we have attended.
Or mainly what we get in defilement under 18, and also some sodomy cases.
Stigma, fear and cultural barriers keep many survivors silent.
They may not even come because of stigma. They go back, they stay with their home with the issue. There are trainings we did for the community for sensitization, to come out and not keep people who have gone on violation, so that they bring for the surfaces.
The stories are painful. The psychological scars run deep. Survivors are left without justice or adequate support. The situation is worsened by societal silence, shame, and the stigmatization of survivors.
Those girls are still, they have nowhere else to go, but where? They go back to the same community.
We have many girls who are living in trauma, who are staying with the perpetrator.
There is that stigma. You see, there is that, finger pointing, talking about them, that this girl is prostitute and she was defiled. This girl will never get even married in future. Even her marriage is compromised, her education is compromised.
The stigma makes healing even harder.
The cases of procuring abortion illegally and professional abortion is very high.
Recently, there's an infant that was, thrown. It was collected by the police and buried. These girls, when they become pregnant, so they are traumatized. They think of the stigma awaiting them. The stigma, within the community. So what happens? They normally try abort. They drink, medicine. One was about to die sometimes back, just last month. There are so many kids that have been, thrown, abandoned, and so they were collected by Good Samaritan, brought to General Hospital.
Along with the regrettable veil of humiliation cast over mothers, the children conceived from defilement also face extreme challenges and social persecution by communities.
But the infant who was born out of that should not carry the blame, should not be blamed for that incident. And some mothers, they hate. And my mother said, I don't want to see this child because it reminds me for that ordeal. That bad thing happened to me. To an extent, the child was taken by the grandmother. And she said, this is an infant. It's a blessing from God, so please don't put all your frustration on him. That child will have that history. He will be told, you have been picked from dump site. You're a pastor. These parents are not your parent. By the age of 5 and 6, that child will be informed whom he is or she is. That's why we always encourage, they should not kill the child. They can be given for adoption or fostering.
The situation is made worse by the lack of safe houses to accommodate young girls subjected to sexual assault and women grappling with gender-based violence.
There's a lot of unutilized land. There's no shelter. Safe haven is not there for any women.
Very essential to our community, because all these girls who are facing stigma, who are in the community facing stigma and traumatized, will have been put under a rescue center. They will receive their counseling, psychosocial support, and they continue with their education and be part of the community tomorrow. And we will wish for any, well-wishers who will support us to at least establish one rescue center for us. We will really appreciate.
If you look at Garissa County, we don't have rescue centers. We have only one. That's why we have been telling the county government to come with plan to build for us rescue centers and also shelters. And because we have girls who have been rescued from FGM, we have girls who have been rescued from sexual offenses, and we have nowhere to take them.
I will talk of institutions that are supposed to be assisting women. I keep asking myself, what are they doing in Nairobi? What is that they are doing in Nairobi? Any human rights organizations, the Law Society of Kenya, please don't camp in Nairobi. Come down here and assist those who are vulnerable.
In yet yet another shocking incident on 15th November 2025. Safia Abdi Bilal, a grade 9 student, was allegedly defiled and killed at Bohol 5 near Hagadera refugee camp, Garissa County. The minor had recently completed her Kenya Junior School Education Assessment examination on November 3rd. The suspect was identified as a close guardian, is already in police custody and is set to appear in court once investigations are complete. The brutal murder of 17-year-old Gala Aden Abdi on 22nd March this year is still lingering in the hearts and minds of many people. Gala was forcibly married off to a 55-year-old man subjected to severe abuse and ultimately murdered, her body burned beyond recognition. Several suspects, including her husband, are now facing charges. The government has in the past warned residents against bypassing the courts on matters of SGBV.
Nyinyi wazee, mambo ya sexual and gender-based violence. Na mtu akiulizwa ati kwa nini mtoto wa miaka 15 amepeanwa kuolewa, anasema ilikuwa hii ni kawaida ya jamii ya Wasomali. Hakuna kitu kama kawaida. Sheria ya Kenya inasema mtoto under 18 years, any sex with that child ni defilement na ni violence. Na hakuna kitu inafanyika kwa jamii bila wazee kujua na machiefs kujua. Chief, kuna kitu hujui kwa kwako? Kuna chief anasema hajui kitu? Sivyo, mnajua kila kitu. Lazima tuchukue hatua ya kisheria kuhakikisha ya kwamba hii tabia ya watoto wadogo kuonewa.
Addressing gender-based violence requires us to confront the persistence of cultural practices such as the maslaha, which undermine the rule of law and hinder justice for victims.
As part of a nationwide public participation initiative aimed at combating the rising cases of GBV and femicide in the country, President William Ruto appointed a task force which went around the country collecting views, experiences and recommendations from the public.
The Sexual Offences Act can be reviewed and those issues can be considered. Again, the issue of masla, and we give a very elaborate views on how we see, and so that those loopholes can be tightened. We also suggested the issue of compensation to the victims by the perpetrators, not only sentence. Whenever they sentence to 35 or 40 years, there should be a clause also they can compensate on the problem those minors are facing.
That is what has led us to establish the policy, which I call the gender policy, which is now in implementation. And then, you know, unless you sensitize people on the laws, the constitution, and all those things, you cannot tell them one day stop, and they stop. Those cultural policy which has been there. The county government initiated that kind of work with partners, and we reached the sub-counties, the villages, meet the crowd, brothers, and later even we meet separately men and women, because women may not be able to express themselves in front of men. So that kind of awareness will be able to help reduce, and now it has reduced.
Human rights defenders agitate for homegrown solutions to end violence against women in order to achieve a lasting impact.
But what we are missing is the support of the religious leaders, the political leaders, and the community leaders who can support us so that we can win against this case, and we can support these women and children. They are so quiet about this problem the Garissa County is facing, and they are all aware. The religious leaders are aware, and the political leaders are aware. You will never see even a single day a political leader standing somewhere talking about this problem, because we have a situation where even it is not safe for girls to go to school.
They're also calling for harsher penalties for those who attempt to resolve sexual violence cases outside the judicial system.
We have tried to come up sometimes back with a way to curb this problem, because we told the National Police Service, elders who come to the station to withdraw cases so that they can go and do maslaha, they should be arrested and charged in court. And that somehow worked.
The road to justice may be long and treacherous, but every voice that refuses to be silenced moves the country one step closer to rewriting this painful narrative. By strengthening legal frameworks, challenging harmful cultural norms, and providing better support for survivors, significant strides can be achieved in order to ensure a safer and more equitable future for women and girls.